show up on this 60-minute AI design challenge. So in the room with me, we've got Eric Stoddard, who is the designer behind the Mustang and many iconic vehicles, the Crossfire. He's also running the Car Design Academy. And then on the line, do you want to quickly introduce yourself, guys? Eric, do you want to start? Or Nemo?
Yeah, I can start. My name is David Neal, better known as Nemo. I am one of the principal designers with Eric at CARDESIGN Academy. Currently a chief design officer at an autonomous vehicle company known as Mozee. And yeah.
Glad to have you on the call.
Yeah, thank you.
Who wants to go next? Eric? Can you hear us, Eric?
Eric Martinez. Eric Martinez.
Yeah, the other Eric.
Me.
Oh, sorry.
I thought it was the other Eric. Thank you, guys. Happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Eric Martinez. I am an industrial designer. I'm based in Munich, Germany, Mexican by birth. And just happy to be here and explore and enjoy the way that we have learned so far to use AI and see how can we explore the design of new vehicles and products.
Fantastic. Glad to have you on the call. Hey, Henrik, I know it's a bit later for you. Where are you?
Yeah, well, it's 5 p.m. here in Gothenburg. Yeah, and I'm Henrik, and I'm currently interning in exterior design at CECA Global Design in Gothenburg. I'm very driven by designing smart vehicles and really trying to challenge how we perceive mobility and transportation and come up with new ways of transporting people or things from A to B, create new experiences through transport.
Very cool. So we're all, is everybody here on the line? Oh, sorry, Rahman, apologies.
No worries. Greetings, everyone.
My name is
Rahan.
Very cool. I like the plant in your background. You're bringing a bit of greenery.
Yes, sir. Right on. My name is Rahan. Born and raised in the U.S. Lived in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley for 22 years. Now I'm based in Singapore. And I'm a creative director, creative producer, and I'm kind of a curious person that loves all design, generative AI generalist, educator, and an artist. So I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Fantastic. Well, it's a privilege to have all of you guys here. So today we have a little challenge. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to introduce the group. So CARDESIGN Academy, we teach aspiring designers, but we also teach professional designers in the use of new and emerging technologies like AI, like virtual reality and augmented reality. And so the people that we're meeting today are recent alumni of our AI Design Mastery Intensive. And these are experienced professional designers who are learning how to incorporate AI into their workflow. And so the AI Design Mastery Program, we teach a framework called Design Doing, which incorporates several different tools in a workflow, in a framework, in order to empower designers to overcome the limitations of AI and to use AI as a tool to greater creativity, greater innovation. And so today, what I'm hoping we'll see is a demonstration of what our alumni are learning and how they're applying these tools into their workflow. And so this challenge is going to be an opportunity to very, very quickly get into a project, develop a concept, and come up with some innovative solutions. And so we're looking forward to seeing what you come up with. And then also, I just wanted to announce that we are going to be offering the next intensive. We're going to be starting in the middle of April 13th. So if you like what you see and you're interested in learning about how to incorporate AI into your workflow, please consider joining our next intensive in April.
Thank you. And then really the point of everything that we do on this podcast is to lean into AI as creative people and figure out how can we use the technology to shape the work that we do as opposed to sort of let AI replace what we do. And so this, what Eric does and David do at the CARDESIGN Academy is a big step in that direction. So I've got a fun little challenge to present to you today. So let me take you through a couple of cheeky slides. So we're doing something in 60 minutes today. Quite a few decades ago, there was a design team that received a challenge in 11 days. And the challenge was no mean feat. It was to design a lightweight vehicle that was 4x4 capable, that was less than a quarter ton, with a wheelbase under 80 inches, and that could be assembled with simple tools in under 4 hours. And so they drew plans in 11 days, and 49 days later, rolled off the production line the American Bantam prototype, which you see here, the cutesy looking, frog looking ATV that we're beginning to recognize as the legendary Willis Jeep. It came out in 1940. It won the competition out of 100 car design competitions. It wasn't particularly comfortable, but that wasn't the brief. It wasn't particularly elegant either, but that wasn't the brief either. What it was very ingenious. And just to give you a couple little, headlines of how ingenious this vehicle was. So it could fit in a box. The legend says that it was airlifted. It was actually too heavy for the aircraft at the time, but it was shipped in boxes and stacked. It actually, in demos, they managed to assemble it in under 5 minutes, I heard this morning, some of the record assemblies. It had this famous iconic grille that we all know now. Henry Ford played a part in designing it. Originally, the vehicle was made with 9 individual vertical slots, but actually Henry Ford designed it as one plate that could be pressed very quickly and improve airflow. It had a folding wheel shift with windshields, which reduced glare, was easy for transport. It also had flat fenders, which you could stand on. Every part of this vehicle was designed to be something that you could stand on, bolt something on, incredibly modular and sturdy. It was also under 2,300 pounds, so just under a ton. The idea being that they knew soldiers were going to have to take it out of the French fog when they arrived on D-Day, and so soldiers should be able to lift it up. They don't look like they're having a good time lifting it up, but it was a different breed of men at the time. And then there was that, fruity little engine, 54 horsepower. You could put any kind of benzene in there, in a war situation. Any octane virtually would work. It was a small 2-liter engine, but it had a lot of torque and had a simple 2-speed transfer case. So not particularly fast, but very tough, very durable, and you could throw anything at it. 630,000 units were built throughout the war, so between 41 and 45. Dwight Eisenhower even said this was one of 3 tools that won the war. And, you can hear from my accent, I spent many years in the UK. It became, such an iconic platform, particularly in Europe during Reparation, that it inspired plenty of vehicles from the Land Rover to other vehicles in Europe. And so today we have 6 incredibly talented creatives in the room. We've got 60 minutes, and the challenge is to reinvent this iconic design. And so here's the brief. The brief is to create a similar kind of program. So something that is a body module on a utility frame of some sort, on some kind of chassis. Ideally, it'd be something that people could receive flat pack at home. So think the IKEA of cars, or something that Amazon could ship, or Alibaba. It needs to have a target price of under 20,000. So probably you're not going to have things like CarPlay or things like that. It might be a lot simpler, more durable. By the way, that was in 1946, it was $1,360. So it continued to be a valuable mode of transport in the US well into the 60s. Ideally, if we can, we would try and fit within the same box size. So it's 3 meters long, 1.5 meters wide, and 1.8 meters tall. And then use all the tools and all the technologies that you know today. So 3D printing, injection molding, stamped metal, modular assemblies, anything, any tricks of the trade that could inform the design or that could inform your concept, go right ahead. The idea is to design this vehicle for 2031, or we'll be celebrating 90 years of these amazing designers who 11 days designed a vehicle that was one of 3 tools that helped the Allies win the war. And so what we're hoping in this time is that you'll be able to talk to us a bit about your design philosophy, show us a bit of your sketching, how you use AI, early thoughts on manufacturing, and why you think your design ideas matter in responding to this brief. So I know it's a lot, but hopefully AI will be your superpower and will help you get cracking. So I'm not going to bother you guys. First of all, do you have any questions maybe before I go to the clock?
So you have 60 minutes.
Yeah, looks amazing. Can we just go back to see the what are the other parts of the brief at the beginning?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And have some liberties, you know, but in spirit, it should feel like the centuries passed and we're now the next generation.
So I just wanted to add, we can use, you guys can use any tools you want. You can, any combination of AI or traditional tools. We're going to be using Viscom Workbench as sort of the assembly area, right? The center point of where you're going to be gathering your design concepts, your images, and developing your design. So obviously, Viscom is going to be a very powerful tool in that toolbox. You can use it however you want, but you're not necessarily exclusive to using Viscom. We're just using that as the platform at this point. So we're going to be screen sharing from Viscom. So I think Nemo, are you going to be sharing your screen, or I can share my screen?
Yeah, I can. I think if we both kind of queue up different, we can jump between our cameras and be able to
exactly right.
Be a little bit more
we'll do that. We'll do that. I'll start keeping tabs on Viscom myself, and then we can start screen sharing as needed, as desired.
So maybe while you guys kick off, you can go on mute, Eric and Henrik, unless you have any questions. And then David and Eric, I'd love to ask you a couple questions about
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, Henrik and Rahan, are you guys good to go for a minute and get cracking?
Yeah, I already started.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
We'll give it like 10 or 15 minutes. Talk a little bit, and then we'll check in, see how they're doing.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, so I'm curious to ask you, David, a little bit on the call, because you're, a chief design officer for a small production vehicle. It's autonomous. When you're looking at a challenge like this, imagining that your studio had, what do you think are going to be the hurdles that these designers are going to, when designing something like this? What do you start with? I mean, I remember I have a friend who worked for IKEA, and he told me the first item on an IKEA piece of design is the size of the box. And I'm curious, like when you start a challenge like this, what is the first thing that you start with?
So that is a tight constraint, right? Knowing that you have to flat pack it and be able to create this assembly that fits in such a small space. I would also say that when you design for modularity, and that is one of your like core elements that you're going to use as like a guiding principle, right? You have to think about that as you're putting things together, and you're going to wind up taking sort of deviated paths from what would be considered a standard design path, right? When designing for modularity, one thing that I've experienced in the past is you tend to think of things on individual component levels, and then those individual components become sort of tinker toys or Legos, if you will, right? And then you think of how to apply those Legos together to create the cohesive package. So that, to me, would be one of the more important things that I've experienced with this type of brief.
How about you, Eric? So you're inspiring the next generation of designers. But when you were at Ford and you got a brand new brief, I can't imagine it happened very often, but when you got a white sheet,
Yeah.
where do you start with just a complete white sheet?
Well, when we have a white sheet, and actually we do this in our AI Design Mastery Intensive.
Yeah.
Actually, most of what we teach, the framework that we teach are things that I learned at Ford and Hyundai and Chrysler and some of the other clients that I work with. And it really starts with framing that brief, right? What's the target customer? What's the target persona? What are the use cases, right? There's sort of three main ways that I like to approach a new project. It might be based on a particular person or a particular type of person. It might be based on solving a need, right? It might be about a brand, like it might be taking an existing brand and reinventing it, or it might be starting a new brand, or it could be a successful brand that we're expanding, or it might be a struggling brand that we're rescuing. So those are all different sort of frameworks that I use to start to put together some ideas for a brief, right? I really enjoy the persona-based brief because I love getting to know that target customer in a deep way. And what we do an exercise where we develop what's called an archetype. And the archetype is if you were to imagine a cat looking in the mirror and seeing a lion, right? There's this sort of idealized person that we're all trying to become, that we spend our lives trying to become this idealized version of ourselves. And so how we dress and how what we drive and the way we carry ourselves, all of these different aspects and facets to that our archetype persona, right? And there's different archetype characters that repeat themselves throughout culture and throughout society, even across cultures, right? So
for something like this, how would you define the persona? I mean, obviously this is a military vehicle here, but it's applications you think for 90 years from now. How would you?
So for example, this may not necessarily be a military vehicle. It could be an individual, it could be a recreational vehicle, it could be it could be a fleet vehicle or a business type vehicle, could be it could be military in application. Obviously the nature of military warfare is changing quite a bit, so something like this may not even be relevant in the future with drone technology and autonomous technologies and things like that. But perhaps that is an aspect of this design brief. Perhaps we do incorporate some sort of autonomy or some means of keeping soldiers out of harm's way. So I guess my question would be: is this and this is something I think for each of the participants to decide for themselves. Who is your customer? Is this to you a recreational product? Is it a government or a business product? Is it a military product? There's no right answer. So that would be the first question, right? Now, once we understand who that customer, that persona is, now we start to ask questions like what are their needs? What are their pain points? But more importantly, with the archetype, what we're trying to answer that question of is who do they want to be? How do they want to feel? How do they want to be seen? Right? So.
And what about? I mean, it's interesting because I can imagine at the time. We're talking about 70 years ago. Designing something like this was probably less about the persona. It was seen more as a piece of engineering.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, this is something fairly recent, maybe the 70s or 80s, where they start to define personas, and when the car was something you wore, not just a tool.
I mean, there's different design challenges have a different balance of this persona, trying to create this emotional connection versus solving needs or solving problems. Obviously, I think in the near term, in the immediate term, the development of the original Jeep was very much a needs-based concept, right? It was a very needs-based challenge. We need this very affordable, very deployable, easily constructed vehicle to make in very short order and deploying the thousands in the field, right? It was just we need to get this out in the field as quick as possible, and so that our soldiers can get around. And that was just a very, very, very. And then they went and they thought about the kind of terrain that they were going to encounter, and it needed to be at that something that could handle that terrain. And so it was just very much a set of needs that they very quickly went into solving for. Now, I think where the Jeep brand came about was, and a lot of times this happens organically. This doesn't happen necessarily in the initial design of the product, but after the war, right, when people started using these as civilians, right, they started using them recreationally. They started using them as everyday transportation. They started painting them different colors, right? All of a sudden you could get one in orange or yellow or blue or whatever. And it started to take on a different character. It started to take on a different meaning, right? And there was this sort of, I guess, emotional bond that they had formed from the war, not only with each other, but with the vehicles. The vehicle almost became this friend or this companion, right, in the war, right? And so there were these deep emotional bonds that had formed during the war that continued on after the war in the civilian version of the vehicle. And then from there, just kind of, and the other thing is the vehicle had proven itself in all of these different, all of these different terrains, all of these different weather conditions. And so it was just, this, as the civilian version evolved, it just took on its own character and became more and more endearing and more part of the culture. And there really wasn't anything out there like it at the time, right? There wasn't a Bronco yet. There wasn't a Scout yet. There was just Jeep. And there was really nothing else like it. So, yeah.
I'm curious, Nemo, on your side. So when you're designing a system now that's autonomous and that has autonomy, do you also consider the archetypes and the persona? Or if a vehicle is autonomous, is it almost more like a transportation pod, like an elevator, or like a transit system? Or does it still have an automotive sort of taste and design element? Or is it? Or what's
interesting is almost everything that you listed is involved, right? And in not only do we think of the archetypes, there is a greater span of the type of archetypes, right? You're going to have stakeholders because it's typically with the autonomous kind of segments, you're dealing with B2B. So you want to make sure that stakeholders, the ones who are actually booking these things for deployments, that their needs are taken into account. And then you have your end users. And then you have the people that are above the stakeholders, which are the ones that are typically involved in politics because, we're dealing with governments and things like that. Those people have certain expectations. And so you're able to create this hierarchy, this sort of tree of different archetypes. And then in addition to that, the city itself that you deploy in, or the spa, or the resort, or the amusement park, these are also different archetypes, right? Because through them, that's kind of at the top of the thing. Then you have your stakeholders and your decision makers, and then you have your end users, and then you have the people that have to work in and around these things. All of these people have various different aspirations and needs. And once you catalog them, you can find out there's a lot of commonalities. That's where your meat, that's where your main value prop is.
Right. Actually, if you think about it, there's a lot of similarity between a municipal transit vehicle and the Jeep, which in this case, the customer, the buyer of the vehicle, the owner of the vehicle was the government, right? It was the military, right? So it wasn't a vehicle that was, the people using the vehicle were not the customers, right? Right. There was a separation there. So unlike a typical car or other vehicle, right, where the customer, the driver, the user is the customer, the one making the purchase, right? So in the case of Jeep, it started as a government. There were the people in the government that basically created this program, right, to deploy these vehicles. And then the users were the ones that sort of formed this bond with it and fell in love with it. And so,
Right.
yeah, so we
So it's an emotional connection. That's something that's changed.
Exactly.
It started utilitarian, and then we kind of the people sort of fell in love with it and made it their own. I'm curious. So
Yeah.
it feels like the reason I like the notion of this brief was that it started as purely engineering and fitting within a box. But today, when designers are entering into the creative industry and they're designing a product, I think you guys explained that really well. It's about who your end audience is. You have to put desire into the vehicle. And desire is hard, it's fickle. How many cars do we know from history, the Edsel Ford, and so many that people thought were going to love, and they were pretty decent cars, but no one fell in love with them, and they weren't sold, and they were flops. And so is AI now, and maybe we can jump to some of the people who are designing, maybe we can have a couple sneaky peek into some of the projects, but is AI helping you find what will make people fall in love with vehicles now because you can generate more?
Well, I think what AI, to your point, what AI is able to do is give you, for the time that you're going to spend exploring design, it's going to be much more efficient, and it's going to be much more exhaustive. Whereas times where budget restricted, I'll let Eric talk more on things like budget restriction and timelines. I didn't have as hard of deadlines as he did in my career. But when I did, there was a lot of open exploration that I was very blessed to have in the startup ecosystem, let's say. And as such, being able to be efficient in that exploration was always hard. Expensive tools, the ability to prototype and then break stuff and then iterate, that always costs money. Well, now with tools like AI, tools like VR and AR, you're able to go through a lot of those design cycles much more efficiently. You're able to iterate faster and be able to come to the table with really, really solid assumptions that make the more expensive part of building it, breaking it, and iterating. You're able to do that in earlier stages now. Eric, anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, we have, in our experience, Nemo and I have worked together on some of the projects for Mozee, and then I have my own clients and working in completely different spaces. I'm actually working on quite a few more aspirational luxury supercar type vehicles, and
that's old fashioned almost, isn't it?
At
that point, it's almost all about taste.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's about an experience. It's about an experience.
Yeah.
It's a totally different experience. But recently, last year, I worked on one of the first vehicles to be designed entirely with AI and with virtual and augmented reality with Gravity Sketch. And we also teach a course on Gravity Sketch as well. Gravity Sketch enabled me and my clients to bypass every single traditional automotive design workflow. We did no clay models, no physical prototypes, no traditional CAD modeling, hardly any sketching. We got to the general aesthetic direction through AI very quickly, and a couple of napkin sketches, and then went straight into Gravity Sketch. Spent 9 months developing a concept vehicle that we ended up shipping data directly to the builder to mold carbon fiber, and wound up at the Quail at Monterey, Monterey Car Week, with a running vehicle taking orders.
Wow!
So the vehicle was
in how long? What was the total?
About 9 months. So it was a fully running vehicle.
Yeah.
Available for sale.
Yeah. Gas or electric?
Gas.
Okay. Wow.
Right. Yeah, but I've done electric as well for other projects. And yeah, it'd never been done that quickly before, and bypassing. And so what we did was we used augmented reality to basically project a full scale representation of the vehicle on the floor of the studio daily, working hand in hand with the client daily, and making real-time changes to the design. Being able to sit inside, you can take a chair and roll inside the vehicle and sit inside the drive, sit in the driver's seat. Figure out all of the interior layout, the visibility, intra egress. You can prove out all of those things, right? But that was really made possible with a very clear vision and very clear direction of what it was we were designing. And so that's where the AI tool set really comes in. Being able to articulate the design brief, synergize ideas with the customer, with their needs, with the brand, and very quickly iterate and ideate. But at the same time, one of the very important things of our framework is that it also gives us a North Star for what is the right design, right? We can generate lots of ideas very quickly, but answering the question of what is the right design, and also overcoming the natural limitations of AI. AI it's built upon images and ideas that things that are already in the world, right? So, for example, a car, it'll tend to mix and match bits and pieces of other cars, right? If you want to overcome that, you need to have a vision, you need to have taste, and you need to have a framework to push past that, and that's what we teach.
You need to identify where it's being derivative and where to push it. So talking about that, can we jump into? We're about halfway through.
Yeah. Do we have anybody have anything to share?
Yeah, Henrik and Eric have started bringing some stuff into their space.
Okay.
So we can check in with them.
If everybody could just start bringing some of their stuff into the workspace. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah.
Do you want to share your screen, or you want me to share my screen?
You pick one, and I'll go to the other, because right now it's Henrik and Eric that have their stuff up. And then when
I've got Henrik.
When Rayhan brings his stuff in, we'll go and jump to him.
Okay. Henrik, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing, what you're thinking?
Yeah. So I started going to ChatGPT and then asked for a ton of different prompts to put into Midjourney to get a bit of a theme of flat-packed furniture concepts, looking into Japanese origami, and then also just quickly entered Pinterest for sheet metal bended pieces and furniture. And then I am thinking about doing a vehicle for a cheap vehicle for a developing country that is highly functional, can be disassembled and used in different ways. Was thinking about what if the roof could be taken off and being used as a small little boat, and being extended with the side panels and the top chassis being able to be fully disassembled as well, so that if something breaks, then it's easy to replace. And
so tell me a little bit about what you did there. So on the left-hand side, what Eric was taking us through, that is, you searched on the internet for inspiration, or is some of this generated?
So these images here on the left are from Midjourney. That was just the best things that came out there, where I then used ChatGPT to help getting some quick prompts written up, so I just could feed a ton of stuff into Midjourney and then just collect what I thought maybe could guide my process.
These shapes look like they could be done entirely with a CNC water jet cutting machine and a CNC bender and brake press, right? Those are
exactly. That are super easy assemble, low cost manufacturing, and then panels that are very easy to replace for the customer, where I would then think that the rear and front bumpers would be the exact same. So if one of them breaks, then you'd very low cost have super easy access to replacing any of the panels, where it would then be the graphics that would
that makes a lot of sense. And so when you started this, so clearly you looked at you were thinking from the onset about manufacturing, and so you used partly the internet, partly generating. How are you, so the sketches that you have now, what is the next step? How are you going to go from these inspirational pieces to now a sketch that you drew yourself? And what's the next step?
Yeah, for me, then sketching is the best way of thinking, 100%. And then after that, I'm then gonna try to combine and mix the images that I found and generated to then start generate some form and make the product more real.
Yeah. Have you found overall that this approach is empowering? Do you feel that you can do more quicker and you get to the answer that you're happy with quicker?
I'm not entirely sure about that actually, because many times when I'm using AI, I think it's a lot of hit and miss with a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
I can try to do a lot of different prompts on Mid-Journey, but it's not always guaranteed that there's something exciting there. Where when I sketch something out, then I'm in a lot more control and I can direct the process and I can easily sometimes get my vision out, where I like AI when it misunderstands my intention, because then from my own skill and ability to see the shapes and get inspired from the shapes that I see, then I can get some great forms out from there. But it's the most effective thing for myself is the old school craft, but mastering that makes it easier to get something of value out of AI as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like, it's interesting, like Eric was demonstrating on the screen here, we can see how he combined your sketch plus the Mid-Journey prompts. But when you combine the two together, it's generating cars that seem to have ignored your sketch. So there is still quite an art to prompting it, to training it, to get it to understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll let you go back on. I mean, Eric, are you around?
Yeah.
Let me share my screen so you can see his. Bring up Eric here. Alrighty.
Oh, very different.
All right, Eric. Yeah, Eric, walk us through some of your thoughts and how you're approaching this.
Sure, of course. So I just got information from the brief, get that together, put it on ChatGPT. So I start decoding the information and then destyling it and then translating to where the parts. So the first part that I'm going with is with the idea of modularity. I just started creating some basic shapes. And with these basic shapes, what I'm doing is creating abstract modular metal sculptures. So here I am using the tool to have a drawing influence. So on the left, you will see that it will be 100% close to the sketches that I did. And on the left, it's 0%. So then I have an array of different options and different shape modifications that I have here. And I did the same here using an other basic kind of blocky sketch to have this kind of surfacing. So I'm ideating, getting ideas of how can I put this together in a sketch. And at the moment I am getting information also on Mid-Journey to create images of products or other objects that are modular. So the idea later on is to start combining these different sculptures with the different kind of technical and visual part of modularity with a sketch that a fast sketch that I will create, and that start combining and just keep growing on the process. So that's where I am at the moment.
So Eric, looking at this, like if I look at this, and obviously I can see the forms, I can see the shapes, but this feels quite a few steps removed from what's going to become a vehicle. But you guys, when you see this, you know which ones to pick and why, and what to pursue and what to drop off.
Yeah, of course. We just start.
This is an exercise.
Oh, sorry.
I was to say, this is an exercise that we teach as one way of sort of helping the AI get past the limitations, right? Getting past what is known, right? So rather than just saying, I'm going to design a car, I start to articulate, what does it look like? What's it made of? What are the shapes? And to express that in a completely non-automotive form, right? Then to start, get a general form and shape that we like, and then start to turn that into a car.
Okay.
But step by step, instead of just if we just call it a car, and especially if we apply a brand to it, like Jeep, right?
It'll be
It's
too
just
derivative.
It's just going to grab whatever's on the internet from Jeep and mix it together, right? We want to get past that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So very cool.
Thank you, Eric. We'll let you crack on.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
See you later. Rahan, how you doing, mate?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
We're great, thank you.
Learning from you guys and listening in. Very inspiring.
Where are you at with your
share my
design?
screen,
What
or-
approach have you taken then?
I'm just trying to start with a story, like a world. So starting with Africa 2031. I believe that's where a lot of the future is headed. In terms of innovation, in terms of use cases. And so if you go to the room, not sure if you guys in there, but just rapid urban growth, digital payments, different, trying to understand what the world could be. So I created a couple of personas of people like soldiers, merchants, trades, nurses who could use a vehicle. And then it just kind of came up with some, forms inspired in Midjourney to kind of help me start. So I'm about to start sketching now. So maybe a little behind, but I'm getting cracking.
Very cool.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and then if you could just go into the CDA.org and go into that
Oh.
AI design challenge.
Is it not? Is it not?
Yeah, bring
not in
some
the right
stuff in the
folder?
workbench.
Yeah. So
Do you guys see it?
I
Put stuff in there. Sorry.
Let me
Hold
see
on one
here.
second.
Oh.
Let me see. Yeah, I don't see
Sorry,
anything
please.
from you. Just make sure that it's in the
Remember.
All Car Design Academy team, and then we have a subfolder called AI Design Challenge.
Yeah.
Put it in there.
Okay, maybe we still have in that challenge that issue from earlier. I'm in the all AI mastery.
All
So I see
Car
teams and all
Design
AI.
Academy. Yeah. The team is All Car
No.
Design Academy, and then
Okay.
within there's a folder
Yeah,
called AI Design Challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that. Looks like I don't have access to that.
Okay. You are in the Car Design Academy org, right? On the upper left of your screen.
Upper left, there's an AI mastery team I'm in. So maybe you guys put me in the wrong or an old one. I can also share my screen if that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just do that.
Yep.
Entire screen. Okay. Uh-oh. What do you guys see? Like an infinite window?
Yeah.
Infinite window, we can, yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah. If you switch to whatever tab you're on.
Go to the Viscom tab. Yep, right there. And then, okay.
Yeah, so this is what I see.
Yep.
So
click that. Now go to go back to the upper left. Upper left.
The drop down.
mhm.
Oh, he's.
I don't see Car Design Academy.
Yeah.
Need to invite him.
Yeah.
Let me just make sure you're in there. Okay.
Okay. I'll just show you what I have so far.
Show it.
Yeah,
Just
What
go
do you want me
ahead.
to wait?
Yeah. You.
Okay.
No, go
Go
for
ahead.
it.
Jump in. Dive in.
So I just want to show you like just the workspace. So here's the story here on the left side. It's kind of getting me started in terms of just the world. And then it's kind of like I was mentioning before, the personas and the people that we're using this technology, and a few images from Midjourney to help me get started on just some form factors and get inspiration on my sketch. So that's where I'm at.
That's cool. So clearly you're thinking about your personas. You're imagining
Yes.
the full breadth, the lives, the needs they have, the aspirations they have, and that's informing then a narrative that you write. Are you going to use that narrative to prompt? How do you use the narrative?
Yes. Really just world building to help me get immersed in the world as I start sketching and get inspiration.
Okay.
And I can pivot
Nice.
over time, but just to get started on and immersing myself in in that world.
So you plunge yourself in the world, into those people, and then you design for them. That's really interesting that
Yes.
so far, 3 designers with very different ways of using the same tool.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
that's what's so great about this process.
Henrik has started with manufacturing and finding beauty in those shapes and the form factors. Eric is starting almost like something sculptural, and Rahan is starting with personas. So it's 3 very different ways of using the same tool. Very interesting. Well, we'll let you get back on. Eric, I saw the design on the GS that I had on the looping animation on the GIF.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little tease of that project file and how you worked on it? The off-roader that
the
was on
off-road,
the.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love, if you're okay, I'd love to show that people like how a master basically uses the tools. And,
Well, okay, so I'll show you guys a few things here.
can you share your screen?
Yeah, let me just pull it up first. Just want to make sure I don't show anything proprietary. I have some client stuff in there too. Okay.
I saw it down there when you scroll down. There we go. Is that it?
Yeah. So this is actually this is actually based on a gravity sketch model.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So literally.
Can you share your screen? I don't think you're right.
Yeah. Share my screen. Okay. So this was a 20-minute gravity sketch design using nothing but the volume brush. The volume brush is it creates these really angular shapes. These really and you sort of just draw in space. And it creates these just kind of random, interesting angular forms.
I think so. People who don't know, Gravity Sketch is a VR tool.
Yeah.
So you put an Oculus headset on, and you use a virtual brush. So you sculpted this in virtual reality
in 20 minutes.
In 20 minutes. That's
20 minutes,
outstanding.
yeah.
It looks like, so I used to do 3D modeling. It looks like you're doing extrusions and mirroring, and there's a bunch of other tools, right?
Right. So from that, these are just screenshots from Gravity Sketch, and then from there, I just say off-road supercar in the sand, and now it's giving me photorealistic images.
Wow.
It was so quick and easy. Now this was just a quick exercise where I already sort of knew what I wanted to do. I think this is off-road supercar, hypercar is a new emerging segment, especially with all the money in the Middle East. And
it's funny that no one's really broken in that space. Lamborghini has a car.
Hold on, not no one.
Well, there's a Porsche, but there's not that.
The
They're
Safari,
all the
right?
Safari.
Oh, did you see the famous Instagram of the Lamborghini getting stuck in Tahoe?
No.
Yeah, one of those Safari style Lamborghinis. Somebody tried to take it skiing in Tahoe.
Oh my God! I got stuck in the snow.
And it was on the road. It was just sliding everywhere. And finally went off the road. And he's trying to push it. And it was hilarious. Yeah.
Nemo, you have
the first, yes.
What am I missing?
First, and the world's first crowdsourced car, by the way, according to Guinness Book of World Records, was the Local Motors Rally Fighter. It was a street legal desert racing vehicle that had an LS motor with like 450 horse, and that thing would fly through the air with grace. It was an absolute beast.
I know that car. Once in a while,
yes.
I'll check to see how much they're going for.
Okay.
If you want one, I know a guy. Just
really?
know that.
Oh, we should talk.
I worked at Local Motors for quite a few years, so yeah, I can get you in touch.
So I wanted to show a couple of other examples of demo projects. Okay, so this is an example similar to what Eric Martinez is doing right now, and sort of rather than just going after the car, right? We go after the shape and the form first. And so this was meant to be a Porsche. And so the idea was, how do we capture Porsche in 2 lines as abstractly as possible, right? So the Porsche is known as this very teardrop shaped egg-like vehicle. Yeah. Just make sure you pin that.
Yeah, I'll try and pin that.
Yeah. And very, so I just drew the egg shape and this very fluid line, right? So then I just go in and I tell it it's a sculpture, right? And I start to get these very beautiful, very abstract, beautiful sculptures, right? That are just different expressions of that shape, right? Then I picked the one I like and I just started drawing some circles and just to start to give it an impression of wheels. But again, not calling it a car, calling it an abstract sculpture with black cylinders. The next, then I just start to piece by piece, just start to move it towards, what a car or what a future Porsche should be. Now I'm calling it a sculpture with wheels and tires, an automotive sculpture, but it's still not a car.
Mm-hmm.
But as you can see, the AI is already starting to bring in bits and pieces of familiar cars, right? That I don't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to stay as pure to the original sculpture as possible. So like this one, for example, I think is quite successful, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like any Porsche that you've seen before, but it's starting to take on some of those characteristics, right? So, and then I just start to piece in and layer in different prompts. Like now I'm calling it a prototype supercar, and as you notice, I'm adding the word Porsche as the final prompt, not the beginning prompt.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna prioritize the other the first part of the prompt over the last part of the prompt, right? So, okay, so then, but here you can see it's very quickly trying to bring in pictures of current Porsches, right? So it's just some of these are starting to mix and match current Porsches, which I don't want, right? I want to stay as pure as to the original sculpture. So I sort of landed on this one as starting to merge together the best aspects of the original sculpture and a future expression of Porsche, right? It's not the right silhouette; it's too symmetrical. So then I have something to work from. So now I start to go in and I start to manually edit the image in Viscom, getting to something that I'm pretty happy with, and then getting into some different views of the vehicle.
It's interesting because looking at the images, it's like you're leaning into the brand and you're pulling back out. So you have it feels like you have an additional lever.
Yeah.
Do I want to be derivative so that people instantly recognize it?
Exactly.
And where do I step out?
Right. So,
what are the pieces for you that make it a Porsche here?
So in this case, I allowed the AI to just paste in the familiar elliptical lamps, right? That cemented it as a Porsche, right? Everything else is very true to the sculpture, but that was a conscious decision where I evaluated what the AI was giving me and I allowed it to say, okay, that is an iconic Porsche detail. Maybe that can stay in the design, right? So and then the rest, there's just different iterations of the bumpers and the details, but it's doing a really good job of maintaining the simplicity, the clarity of the sculpture, right? So,
and in terms of the model that you're working with, are you training it over time? Is there anything is it beginning to learn what you like and don't like, or is it?
I'm not going to claim to be an expert on how AI works.
Yeah.
Well, what we teach is not we teach the framework. We teach the tools and we teach the framework, but it's really about the framework, right? The tools are actually quite easy to learn. As far as how AI actually works, all I know is that it's pulling from a library of millions of images of things that exist already. Right?
Okay.
And so it's going to naturally bend towards familiar, right?
But in the tool, can you say focus on these images only? That it would all be done on this piece of UI. There's no
right. Well, yeah, you can add reference images, for example.
Yeah.
You can add so you can bring in an image from Pinterest or an image of something else you created, and you can use that as a reference to push the AI to incorporate that reference, right? So that's definitely a tool that Viscom allows. And so
if you're comparing this, what you did here, to had you done a more traditional pre-AI,
right?
What is the benefit and trade-off here?
The main benefit is speed and getting a lot of ideas out quickly, right?
Okay.
but in terms of judgment and taste, you have to be very, very vigilant.
Okay.
You have to have great taste and judgment. You have to have a very clear idea of what you're looking for.
I find sometimes you mentioned that, I think, Nemo, you mentioned that you had some frustration sometimes because the level of control isn't always what you want. So you have to be okay with it doing its own thing, because it's not like having a pen and paper and it's up to you exactly what you sketch out. Do you find that's true? It's you have to.
So
it's more.
There's a couple aspects of that. Is when you're in the exploration of a more traditional workflow, you're going to sketch a lot at the beginning. That's no different than creating a large amount of generations and then curating based on the amount of generations that you have. That's basically the same process, right? People tend to delineate it from my hand creating the sketches versus the AI kicking out images based on whatever references and prompt that I give it. Those are functionally the same explorations. So you have no currency with regard to, or commodity with regard to generations. You can change the prompt, generate a bunch of times, and then start to curate that. And in that curative process, the evaluation criteria, and I'm really glad that you brought this this persona and archetype slide up, Eric, because this is your evaluation criteria. This is the thing that guides you through your curation process. So when Eric was saying you have to be really, really good at discernment of what is quality, what is value to carry forward, this is going to help you do that by making determinations on these personas. These will be your North Star. So Eric, I'll let you kind of take it over from there.
But this is for you more than it is for the AI, right? Or is there something also in that you then use? It's both?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's both.
I'll just give you an example. This is a different project. This was a demonstration project that Nino and I did together in our last intensive. So two of the participants of this challenge actually were in this intensive. Yeah. So Nemo and I did this together during the last AI intensive, and so this is a concept for a mobile urban work platform. We came up with personas in Los Angeles, Sweden, and Jakarta, and obviously 3 very different environments, 3 very different sets of needs. We decided just to zero in on Jakarta, just to see what we could come up with, and started to define the aesthetic, not only the aesthetic of the vehicle, but also the sort of the needs base. Obviously, this had to be a very compact vehicle for an dense urban environment, very affordable. In Jakarta, the dominant form of transportation is motor scooters, so it had to be something near that footprint. Looked at what are some aspirational brands in Indonesia. So Samsung, Panasonic, Honda, and so we had Midjourney start to generate just some early stage visual concepts. I thought this one was neat because it started to take on that sort of pseudo motor scooter type of aesthetic. Very, very functional. Very,
So how do you use this? Are you generating those and you're prompting them, and then you're picking out of all of these which you prefer?
Right. So the Uniqlo is a kind of more of a lifestyle brand. Yeah. And you can see where we get 2 very different aesthetics. A very very clean, playful, very feminine aesthetic versus a much more functional aesthetic, right? So these were just, and then Gojek is a local online platform for deliveries and couriers and things like that. So that would be the ideal sort of business platform for this type of vehicle in Indonesia, right? So so after generating a bunch of different concepts, then Nemo did this one, really starting to articulate. Now we could start to get really granular with.
There's a lot more control here. It feels like now you're just small levers, right? Because the others, it felt the breadth was wide, but now you're zeroing in. So there is some level of control here.
So but we have a very clear defined, we've gone through all the other stuff. We've chosen the direction, and we've moved forward with that, right? So then I went and I did a quick gravity sketch. This was 15 minutes. Did this in 15 minutes.
Wow.
And so now I have a very clear design direction with regards to proportion and general shape, right? And scale, right? Having the mannequin gives it scale, right? So now we're just rendering that out using the original Midjourney images as reference images. So we're maintaining that aesthetic consistency, and then finally putting together some animations of and representations of the persona with their vehicle, the persona using the vehicle, right, using it in the field. And there's consistency between the person and the vehicle and the environment. It's all consistent, and we're telling a visual story, not just of the product and what it looks like, but actually what it does and how the target person uses it, in their lifestyle, right, or in their business, right. And then finally, we finally got into animations, and we're doing, I can pull up the video later, but there's a complete video of how the vehicle is who the person is, how the vehicle is being used, and just showing it from all the different angles, everything. It's just like a complete storytelling.
Right.
Yeah.
So I remember one of the big, and then we'll transition a bit to some of the team because we're coming up to the hour. But one of the big challenges I remember spending some time in automotive is trying to get a large group of stakeholders to rapidly align behind a vision. And sometimes it used to be that the best sketch artist got the attention, not necessarily the best idea or the best product or the best, concept. Do you find that this sort of levels the playing field, and it looks as though you can get more consensus from your stakeholders with something that has that level of fidelity?
Oh, it absolutely levels the playing field. So visual communication becomes a commodity, right? It just becomes a tool, right? And what we're actually finding is that we've had people take our AI course without any formal design education or experience, but coming from other backgrounds. Like we've had people from marketing backgrounds take the class. We had in one of our recent courses, we had an ex-Wall Street finance stockbroker take the class.
Wow.
And they were able to, using our framework and using the tools, they were able to produce results consistent with trained, experienced designers.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, but what that means is that now we can bring in people with the richness of experience and knowledge from other fields into the creative process, into the creative conversation, and they are able to visually communicate just as well as the trained designers, right?
And I'm guessing that your stakeholders also at the same time, they can tell if it's slow, right? They can tell if it's derivative, and
you know if it's slow, because you already know the vision, you formed this very strong thesis, a very strong framework, and so you have the North Star within your project to know, is this the right path or is that the right path? Right, and that's important. Now that being said, just because we're bringing in non-designers into the creative process doesn't make designers any less important or relevant, because now you've got to go build the thing, right? Let's say now we know what we're building. Now we got to go build it,
right?
And that's going to take engineers. It's going to take CAD modelers. It's going to take prototypers. It's going to take and then you're going to go sell the thing, and you got to have marketing people. You got to have so you've got to you're by no means negating the value of a trained designer.
Right.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Okay, who's ready? We're on the hour, and I really appreciate a lot of people stayed with us, watching us live. I can tell that there's 15 people online still right now, eagerly waiting to see what you guys have designed. Is there anybody who feels ready to take us a bit on a journey and tell us a little bit the story of what they've designed? Henrik looks deep in thought. Eric looks like he's curating.
I'm still not there.
And then We could just have them share their screens too.
Yeah.
You want to share your screens, guys?
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? It's okay. It doesn't need to be fully finished. We're going to have after this this recording, we're going to take all the footage and have a polished version online. So if you want to keep refining your designs, that'll be fine. But just I'm looking at some things here.
I'm looking at some things from Eric here.
Eric,
I'm going to go ahead.
Wow.
I can go ahead if you wish, guys.
Yeah, take us through it.
Go ahead and take us through it. You
Share your
want me to
screen.
share screen, or you want to share screen? I'll share screen.
Let me know when.
Okay.
There we go.
So yeah, check this out.
Wow.
Right, so we have. So it looks like we have some sort of really cool space frame.
If you
Very
go,
modular.
if you go to the left, Eric, I can start explaining from the very left. Where we left there, so you can go a little bit down, please.
Okay.
Can you follow him if he moves his mouse?
Yeah. So you know what? I can follow you.
Okay.
Eric, you're in control. Go for it.
Yeah.
I'm in control.
Yeah, tell us the story. I can't hear you very well, so you might need to speak up a little bit. But tell us the story.
I think either
here,
Raymond or Henrik need to. Yeah, there's backwards.
Start creating different images that resembles the modularity of things, right? So things are modular. There are a same like an ensemble and so on. And then I just make a super quick sketch of this kind of type of vehicle. I wanted to go something in a different line. So then if we go up to the middle and to the left, up all the way up where you see the chassis, I use some of those images, and on the left, I just said like, okay, create a basic lightweight chassis for this vehicle. So then I start getting those images combined of one is the sculpture that we did, and the other is the modularity images that I used. And then we can go below, please, Eric.
So you already had a lot of it felt like they were very consistent. Like you were iterating on something you were quite happy with. Is that right? You had the chassis and the wheels, and it was really the body that you were working on?
Correct, Yann. So I was working on the wheels, the kind of the form and the chassis, and obviously with putting the input of those images that I use, and also the images from the sculptures. So that's why you have also this kind of gray kind of color. And I started iterating and creating images. Obviously, here is a little bit curated on that area, Eric, to the left. Sorry, back where we were. Yeah, here you see, I don't know, like 8 images, but obviously I created more. I created like 15 or 20, and I started curating of which ones I was interested. And if you go down, Eric, please. I start doing the same thing with the other images. However, it got a lot of this kind of boxy feeling and the colors, which I personally didn't like that much. I see it very interesting, but I feel it that is very much Lego-like, you know?
Yes.
So that's why if you go up, please, Eric, I just choose on the left. Sorry, back to, not all the way to the left, where we have the center car below. Here.
Where?
Yeah, just these ones here. This is the one that I choose. So this was some shape that I like, that it was combining the things that I did. And then if we go, please, to the right, all the way to the top, I start combining and changing the modularity of the back part. So you can use this truck, for example, to have a food truck.
I love it. It's got a kind of ATV-ness to it. It's also
Yeah.
quite narrow, which is great because that feels like it could also work in an urban environment and in
Correct.
these mega cities that we see, you know, in APAC
Yes.
and things like that, where it could squeeze in. It looks like it's electric. Or is that just a handle?
Has to be electric.
It has to be electric. I like it.
But yeah,
And then
yeah,
it's a brushed aluminum. You start. Is it a brushed? Is it like a sort of
can be
Cybertruck?
paint. I haven't get there yet, but right now I was just checking the modularity and seeing different choices. So what if we change the back and you just put it like a pickup truck
Yeah.
to put
Yeah, I like
things
that.
and so, and then if you go down, please, Eric, what if there is a just a cargo thing, so you can have a different kind of stuff, medical stuff, or just cargo thing, food or whatnot for delivery, you know?
That is fantastic. Yeah.
And
I get a
then
sense. I
if
get
you
a
go
sense
back,
on
please.
yours,
Yeah.
Eric. One thing I could see it being used for is like humanitarian aid, right?
Yeah,
Like this could be
Also-
deployed to various different areas, not even war-torn areas. They could just be areas that need a little bit of help. And then you
Yeah.
got this vehicle. It could be used for all
And
these
I don't know-
cool features.
Because I worked a little bit with Ford. We're always thinking about what category of vehicle is this. This feels like a quadricycle, so you can circumvent some of the
Yes.
legislation,
kind of.
right? And
Correct.
it's a lot more accessible. And then also the
Yeah.
price point is very different.
And then
Oh,
below,
that's a
you
cool
can just
version. Oh,
take it
that's cool.
and just have a crane for it to tow a car. So then these make the vehicle like very versatile, you know, that you can use the chassis and the platform for way different uses. And this is just 4 of them that I got, but I was thinking of others. And then here you have like a scenario where you have the man just working or delivering things, tools, and so on. I was just starting to work on that.
So you're adding the persona back into
Correct.
the image, right?
The
They
persona.
got the scale a little off. It looks a lot bigger than you think it would be.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
The scale
I've
on the
noticed that with
left
AI.
is, on the way
Yeah.
left is okay. That's
Yeah, that one's
not.
not bad.
This is about right. This is about
Yeah,
right.
that's about
Yeah.
right.
Well,
And then if you
you know,
go a little
You know
bit
what it
down,
reminds me of? You know what it reminds me of in a good way, Eric?
yeah,
Is the Delica. Remember the little mini all-wheel drive supercar van from Mitsubishi called the Delica?
Delica.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember.
What do you- Yes, it gives me in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah. So then
Yeah,
if you
whenever-
go,
right.
please,
whenever-
Eric, to the left here, do you see my cursor? Is here.
Oh, yeah.
So then I generated different view images of the vehicle as well to
Nice.
start understanding what are the proportions and so on. And later on, you can use these different images to be combined to create an animation, a motion, or so on.
Right.
Fantastic.
That's great.
That's a really great. So very interesting that it's fascinating to see how you started with a sculpture, with form, and
Correct.
something incredibly abstract. And
Yeah.
within basically 30, 40 minutes, you end up with something that is consistent, that meets the brief, that is also, you know, I think something that looks credible. I mean, you could imagine ending up somewhere in a boardroom and someone credibly saying, I can imagine there's a market for this, and I can imagine how we might build this or legislate for it. Really impressive,
Correct.
Eric.
Right.
Thank you so much.
I was going to
Thank you,
say
guys.
now if we did want to overlay, do this as a Jeep product specifically, now
Yeah.
all we need to do now is just start to overlay some of the Jeep design cues.
Right.
The 7
Yep.
slots and the round lights, or we can start to maybe curate, right, as designers. Okay, now how do we start to integrate some of those visual cues from the
Well,
Jeep brand?
Something that I was
Right.
gonna,
Yeah.
I was gonna suggest is
Yeah.
when I saw the light patterns
I mean,
motif in the back, I
yeah.
felt I had one of the elements from the grill.
Right.
You could turn that into the lights on the front.
We
Yeah.
definitely have
Conceiving.
we definitely have Jeep in terms of the general proportion, stance, and utilitarian nature,
Yeah.
right? And the purpose of it is very Jeep, right?
Yeah.
Very is aligned with Jeep. And now it's just now we can just start to play around a little bit with
The graphic
just,
motif.
Just a few graphic elements. It might not take much. But if we were to just tell AI it's a Jeep, and then it's gonna really start to shift it towards something more familiar, which we don't want. So
Yeah.
that's where that taste and judgment is important as designers. You know, here we've created something that's totally outside of the Jeep product portfolio,
Yeah.
yet consistent with the Jeep mission, right?
Well, I mean, what the point I
right.
think it's making is it's not retro.
Right. It's
It
not
is
retro.
looking
Yeah.
at the criteria from the brief and saying, reset.
Yeah.
How do I meet the creative brief today?
Right.
And I think
right.
that's really
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Fantastic.
now we can just now we can just start to curate and decide, okay, now how do we bring this into the Jeep family, and I think we're there. Right? Yeah. You're 99% there.
Henrik, should we thank you, Eric?
Yeah,
That is
thank you, Eric. Yes.
Really an interesting, fascinating demonstration.
You're welcome,
Really
guys.
excellent. And then if you want to keep like doing a few little tweaks for the long form video, I will add
right.
anything that you want to create and polish. And
Yeah,
For
should
sure.
I share my screen or?
yeah, if you can, it might be easier, or I don't know. If,
Yeah. Well, I'm sharing right
Let's
now, but
see.
if you want to share, that's better.
it's not like Figma, right, where you can't just press him and then
I can
it
follow
rem-
him.
Yeah, if you press follow on him, it should.
Yeah, that's probably
Sounds
easier.
good.
Let's do that.
Yeah, here he is. He's back there. Yeah. If you just press follow, shouldn't it be automatic after? Yeah. if
Yep.
let
You
go
just
now.
click on his name up there.
Yeah, if you let go of the mouse, he should.
Yeah. But then I just it tends to zoom way out, so I'm just
Okay,
going to zoom in
interesting.
and follow him. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Henry.
So my process is a bit different, where for me here it's a lot about finding the right aesthetics with the right philosophy behind it, where a big part of my work is then to find the essence of these images and then try to combine them, where here then I wanted it to come up with different flat pack solutions based on these images, and then asking specifically what to extract for each of those images. Sometimes there's some good results that comes out of it that has a lot of fun and playfulness to it, and other times it's just a bit of cameloso where you don't quite know what it is. The same here, where it's an exercise of finding new forms, describing objects instead of asking for something specific, because I feel a lot of the time when it's just cars coming out from AI, it starts to become very generic, and it has the same kind of feeling to it, where I aim the most of the time to go beyond that, and try to find
Oh, that's
something
great.
unconventional. So I got this one then that I then started to then expand on further and see what I can do
Wow. That's cool.
with this one.
That's great.
Where there was, okay, I want to have the aesthetics of this one, then the functionality and manufacturing process of this image, and then put it on this platform.
Yeah.
And then
And
this
so
was the result
How
of
many
that.
iterations did you have that we're not seeing here? Is this a reflection of how many you generated, or was there
All of my
a lot more that you deleted?
the majority of my generations are here, where I usually just make the ones that I don't like small, like these, so that it doesn't clutter too much. But for
Yeah.
example, then there was something fun with this one where, okay, what does it look like from a side view? So I'm gonna get a side view of that. Okay, that's not so interesting. And then ended up with this one. And then I moved over and wanted to have another bunch of abstract shapes, where I then had this one, and then I asked it to zoom out from it, to see what is the full product, what could that be looking like, and then using that to generate other shapes. The same with here, then having this close-up of a bit of furniture, then getting all the other angles from it, and then taking the image from earlier, and then get this bit of furniture inside of it, where again some of it is all right, but then other bits of it is just Cameloso, where it's so messy, and it completely misunderstands things, which to me is also just very funny. I tried to take then the side view of it, put it into the studio, and then get some wheels on it, because that's a typical way for me to work, where I take random products and then put wheels on it and then see what happens there. What does it look like with wheels? And then here's another bunch of
It's interesting
iterations.
because the temptation with AI, I think for a lot of beginners, is to jump straight to something that is high fidelity, that looks like the thing. But it's interesting to see, it looks like you guys there's a different methodology, right? You're taking your time, you're breaking it down into the basic form factors, and you're just crafting there before you even start to talk about a car. Right? Is that really what I'm seeing? Because the temptation is to come to Midjourney and say, do me a Porsche that's off-road, and you'll get something derivative. But you have a very different methodology.
Yeah, exactly. Because when the moment I start to introduce the word vehicle or car, then it starts to get very generic. The same when I asked it to put wheels on, then for having wheels that look so normal, I think it took a lot of the excitement away from it. Where with this that it got earlier, where it feels like something that has just come out from a CNC or been flat pressed. It still keeps that bit of excitement to it.
Not much room for the driver, but it looks great.
Yeah, well, but that's something that can be adjusted later. And now it's a place to find that bit of emotion that excites you, and then later on you can make it work and really dive into that bit of it and then make it real.
So take us through a little bit what you were thinking. So when you were thinking about the Willis Jeep and a car that's flat packed and manufactured, what were the things, aside from a visual and taste and aesthetic, were there other anchors in your thinking that you were using to filter what image makes the cut and what doesn't?
Yeah, so it's, first of all, it has to awake some kind of emotion. It has to be smart as well, where ideally there would be a lot of panels that would be the same around on the car, so that when something breaks or get damaged, then it's easy to replace. Or maybe that bit of damage would be something that would be added onto the aesthetic of the vehicles, like some patina. But this here is, for example, a fun bit of where AI does not work, because I highlighted this area on the vehicle and then asked it to replace that with the functionality of the rucksack. But now I've just got a bunch of new rucksacks.
Yeah. So where did you land? Where do you feel is the closest answer to the brief in your mind?
That's probably the one that I have down here.
Can you zoom in for us so we can see bigger?
Oh yeah,
This one at the moment. Yeah. It's a
So
good starting point. It's a fun little vehicle, utilitarian, and that where I was thinking it for developing country, where they then can bend sheet metal and put it on. Maybe they would customize it. Things breaks down, it's easy to replace things.
Yeah. One thing, Henrik, that I get from this one is it's more of a ride-on vehicle rather than a ride-in vehicle, right? So seats could be attached, or it could be a standing interface, or it could be something that you just load up and maybe it autonomously drives items around, right? And so thinking of it from a platform standpoint, that seems to make sense for something like that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I love this aesthetic though of cut and bent metal. It's just it's very low cost, easily adaptable.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's also it feels like an invitation to go tinker with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and that's, I think, the beauty of the original Willis Jeep. is it came with spanners and the tools. I think there was like 3 tools, and you could put the whole car together. And this, I like the way also there's some color coding in there that's not to do with graphic design or shape. It feels like it's color coding to say, this is the bit that you anchor, or you know, it's talking in sort of an invitation to go wrench it. And I think that's a really interesting element of this design.
Hey, Yann, for the long form, if you go on YouTube and look at Willis Jeep being built by hand, there's like I think it's like a 6-minute video of them building a Jeep from the pallet, all in real time. And it's an old video. It's a great video. I've watched it so many times, I can't even count.
Thank you.
But for the long form, it would be great to add that in there.
Very cool. And I guess, well, I don't know, Henrik, if you're going to continue to polish it a little bit, but it'd be interesting to see a video of someone putting it together. You know, I think if you were to use Nano Banana or some of the, I can imagine it wouldn't be too hard to prompt it to have someone piecing it together from a flat pack. It feels like it's
definitely worth a try.
Yeah.
Definitely worth a try. Yeah.
All right, Rahan, there's still 19 people online watching and waiting with bated breath to see your design.
Ron, I think you're going to have to share your screen because we didn't get you into the team folder just yet. So just go ahead and share your screen. You're muted.
Okay, here we go. Let me see here. Still generating. So let's see, let's go from top. Okay.
I think so far we're already demonstrating that real designers who've learned the craft, who have taste, you don't get the same result, right? If you hear the fear mongering a little bit about AI and design, and I'm sure some of it is legitimate, but a lot of people are saying vanilla is what we're going to get. But I think what that so far proved is that you don't get it.
And I think you've got
Not even close.
The most creative, prolific designers we've had in our AI mastery program. And so they really do represent you know, a great use of the framework, and but bringing their own creativity into the process and getting really different results. Yeah.
Oh, again, a very different approach there, Rahan. Interesting.
Yeah, so I basically just looked at little small parts.
Sorry, Rahan, sorry to interrupt you. Rahan, sorry to interrupt. Could you make your screen full screen and really zoom in, maybe more than that's comfortable, so everybody can, so we can really show on the.
Okay. Let me see.
I think if you go top right on the little green button, you know, on your browser, and then just make the whole thing.
Okay.
Top left, sorry. You know, yeah. Just and then zoom in so we can really. Oh,
There we
fantastic.
go.
Thank you. Sorry to.
So yeah, so look right on. So looking at these different areas within these inspirational images, I kind of looked at the corners. I like this, these shapes in between here. And I just kind of just play around. I was kind of working a little fast. I know I was a little behind. So I kind of like this sketch here. And I kind of went straight to jump into getting to start playing with some fun. So I thought about balsa and putting something together. And
Balsa.
yeah, so I playing some wood.
Very lightweight.
Just have,
yeah.
Yeah, just playing with something that could just have fun and change, you know, some tires there, and then went over here. Just was exploring, man. I decided to have fun with this, and playing with some modularities, just some ideas of modularities. Put it together.
Can you zoom in for us? Can you zoom in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Oh wow.
Wow. So this, so how much? So that, it's fascinating. So this bit here really was generative, including the components. You prompted it to signpost things, or is it in the prompting? It was sort of a fortuitous.
No, no, it was just I let it do its work. I said, no, from this design here, this one here, let's get modular with it, and just kind of trust them with the process. And then from there, I decided to put an interior together, and just playing out some things with the materials, and then I started to create some things that were interesting. I decided to kind of move on with this kind of design, and so you can kind of put things together, drawers, if you will, and start playing with that a lot more. Then I started to explore the material a little further, I think I did some carbon fiber here, just to see what it would look like if it was a different material with carbon fiber. I think I did a polycarbonate for the windows eventually too, just to kind of see how that will play. So at some point there was a transition to polycarbonate for the windows, and yeah, it's just having fun with different directions. Different kind of feel of putting it together, as you can see here with the materials for the top.
And there's a screen in the front. Can I see like a liquid ink screen at the front? So yeah, zoom in for us. Like we want to see this. It looks lovely.
Sorry, I'm moving a little fast. Absolutely. Make sure my mouse is working here. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like an e-ink
so cool.
kind of image. Yeah, which is great because if you're going to use it outside, it's very readable, right? That's the great thing about e-ink. Yeah, very cool.
It's almost like designed by Charles and Ray Eames.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that vibe.
Chairs.
Yeah, or Buckminster Fuller would have appreciated this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because it's wood, you're cutting down the amount of parts that need to be manufactured or have some expensive, 200 grand CNC machine. They're flat parts. You could almost, and there's some parts of Africa where you see people are very ingenious and they're working and they're tweaking things using wood. And so this is kind of like an invitation, right? It's like we provide you the platform, but potentially you could build the adapters that you need for whatever business you have or use case you have.
Yeah, that's
and it's sustainable.
So yeah,
you
play
can regrow
with
your
some
next
views
car.
here.
Yeah.
Play with some views, side view, top view, front, just exploring, and then at the end, I just wanted to kind of put it into an environment, so I wanted to put it into an environment where someone's inside.
Zoom in for us.
And I like to,
Oh wow, yeah.
So I'll be able to play with scale and things like that further. But definitely a fun challenge. Definitely love this challenge and being with you guys.
And so one question for you. So when you were thinking about and you were beginning to design, at what point did you move and start to step into a vehicle? You started pretty early with something that had wheels, right?
Yeah.
What was
so
your
after
approach?
My approach was to look at the inspirations, those different types of structures, if you will, and just sketch. I mean, if you can tell, I mean, maybe if you look at this, it's pretty close to my original sketch that was inspired by those images. So this is the original sketch on the iPad. So I want to just kind of play with that form, combining different elements from these different images, like the triangles. Like, for example, if you look at this area here, I was very inspired by the top, right? So if you look at the sketch, it's similar in that regard, and I like the I want to kind of play with some wood. So to answer your question, I want to kind of go right into it and just kind of have fun with the sketch and kind of build and go from there and see what happens.
What I also like seeing in your process is that in I guess traditional car design, what they would teach you at art center is they would probably at some point take you to a 1/8 model or a 1/10 model, and it would be, I don't know,
usually 1/4.
1/4. So 1/4, and it looked like you had some, right? They were like on the desk. And
yes.
To see that come back and
here.
It's like, you had some miniatures there. I loved seeing that. That was so cool.
By the way, I have not done a scale model as a professional automotive designer. I've not done a scale model in close to 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was at Ford on the Mustang program, we bypassed all of that with virtual reality.
And then you went straight to clay?
Straight to full size, because we had validated the designs with virtual reality, but without having to do the scale models.
Okay.
So then we were confident enough to go straight to full size.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then now with my clients, I bypass the full size too.
I guess because you can, and I guess it works both ways. So you can do something in AI and then go back to VR.
Yeah.
It's a loop.
Yeah. You can do AI to VR, VR to AI. Yeah. You can go back and forth. Yeah.
Okay. When me and Eric were working together on a project, by day 3 we were working in full size.
Yeah. Now one of the things Nemo and I started to do was we developed all of our personas in ChatGPT. We developed based on ChatGPT. We developed the design concepts. Then we took the design concepts, uploaded them back to ChatGPT, and ran a virtual customer focus group. So we actually
not just
evaluated, had the AI customers evaluate the designs.
Wow.
And help us pick a direction.
What will be interesting also to do like synthetic customers.
Yeah.
And then build a persona and have
that's
them.
what we did.
Oh, that's what you did.
It's
Oh,
even-
right.
Yeah.
No, so it's even better than that though, because once you have a focus group and you run them through the process, right? They are now tainted. They can't be used again. Their perceptions are now soured based on going through that experience. You don't have that problem with AI. You can reset that same group a number of times and run different style of evaluations through the AI, right? You can go, okay, you went through that, start over. We're going to run it with this. We're going to do rank choice. We're going to do surveying, right? We're going to do all these different kind of evaluations where we're able to reset that same group and get different perceptions and then compare them all within the AI framework. And you can do that.
So
we did that in less than a day.
Think of a real focus group, a real customer test, right? The first thing they see, how they perceive the first thing they see versus the last thing they see, right? Now AI can.
That's called recency bias.
Overcome that, yeah.
And I guess,
like the AI personas don't have that.
Well, you always had like a difficult executives at Automotive Review who was just a naysayer, right? You have to be careful not to create an echo chamber, right? Do you have difficult customers in the personas?
That's something we need to figure out how to articulate.
Yes.
In every focus group I've been in every real focus group, let's say there's 5-6 people. There's always one that dominates the conversation.
Right.
The alpha, and everybody just follows that person every single time.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we did have that when we did all our deviations, Eric. If you remember, the stakeholders tended to be the ones that had the longer critiques and the more like brash critiques. Now, in our prompting, we did say like we want these people's like harsh, real opinions. We don't want the AI fluff of course, that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and do that. We dispelled that immediately, and they were able to give us very honest and firm feedback. But the ones that did the most, almost always, were the stakeholder persona, like that. What did we call them? Like the pioneering spirit or something.
Visionary architect.
That's the one, visionary architect. Yeah, that specific architect tended to have the most to say and was the most critical. But that's good. That's exactly what we wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. I think we're coming up at time. But just to round off, I want to say a big thank you to Eric, Rahan, and Henrik for putting themselves under pressure for 60 minutes. So, and everybody who watched, I noticed there was a couple just not many questions, but a lot of like congrats and excitement around the project. So thank you for everybody who watched this live. We will be creating a polished cut version. I'll need a few weeks to do that for you. But Eric, Rahan, and Henrik, if there are little animation bits or anything you want to put in there, please share them with me and I'll put it as part of the full package. And then also, these are incredibly talented designers. So I will also include their links at the bottom of LinkedIn and YouTube if you want to reach out. And then obviously Eric and his course.
Yep. So our next AI Mastery Intensive starts on April 13th, Monday, runs for 4 weeks. We meet twice a week. Plus, for those of you in the mentorship track, so we offer 2 tracks. There's a student track and the mentorship track. Mentorship track, you get additional one-on-one mentoring. So it's great not only to learn the tools, but also we can talk about your career, your portfolio, any sort of guidance there. And then for the student track, it's all of the group sessions, right? So April 13th, we are going to be teaching this framework that you've seen today. And I think you're going to get a lot out of it. So this is open to all skill levels. We work with, like I said, professional experienced designers, We work with from all industries, not just automotive. We work with non-design professionals. So we've had anyone who's interested in communicating visually and participating in the creative process. Whether you're in a marketing background, a finance background, an engineering background, definitely welcome to join. And then if you're an aspiring designer, let's say you're in high school or you're in university and you're studying design, definitely you are also welcome. And we actually like to have people from all these different backgrounds mixed together because the group dynamic is so much more rich, right? So we keep the mentorship track limited to 10 people. Student track is unlimited, but that keeps it very manageable, very sort of intimate, group focused. Lots of interaction. It's very live, very interactive. So I think you're going to get a lot out of it. So please consider joining us on April 13th.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's an amazing example today to show how actually AI can be empowering. You've got to learn the tools. You've got to lean in. And then your talents and your individuality can show up. So I thought that was really an inspiring presentation demonstration. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
And then we'll post this online, a long form in a few more weeks. And maybe we can do another one of these, maybe not with autos, but with a different product in a couple of months. Yeah. If there's enough interest and if people online are enjoying this type of content, we might do another one with a different group or this group. But thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely day. And thank you for those of you who logged in, Henrik, from across the pond. I know it's late, so have a great weekend. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Have a nice weekend. Happy to be here. Happy birthday, Nemo, by the way. It's your birthday, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
I got to go. My back hurts. I'm getting too old.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
There you go.
Ciao.